Our movie begins with two kids running away from an injured man. This man is wearing a wedding suit, and his name is Charlie. He asks them to save him, but the child calls some people with weapons, and they're holding a girl in a wedding dress named Eileen. They shoot arrows at Charlie in front of her, and Eileen tries to save him but can't. They take him and lock him in a room. 30 years later, we see Garth preparing for her wedding day, sitting alone in a room until her fiancé, Alex, comes in, looking very happy. But Garth glances at Alex's family from the window and tells him she feels they're not pleased, thinking she's only after his money. He asks her not to worry about anything and keeps joking with her until Daniel arrives and tells his brother Alex that the wedding is ready and the guests are waiting. Daniel greets Garth and tells her she still has a chance to run before joining their strange family. Garth thinks he's joking, but Daniel's manner is quite odd. Then, Alex tells Garth that Daniel was actually telling the truth and says they need to escape. But she doesn't understand what he means and tells him she's really excited for the wedding. Garth heads down to the ceremony, noticing how strange Alex's family seems, and the whole family doesn't seem to like her. Alex's father tells Daniel that his brother didn't make a good choice, and Garth catches on to everything happening around her and starts feeling uneasy. Then Alex's mother comes over, asking her to just be herself and not get nervous. After the wedding is over, we see Alex and Garth going up to their room, and as they enter, Garth is shocked to see Helen, Alex's aunt, already there. She has no idea how she got in. Helen asks them to come downstairs, and when Garth asks Alex how his aunt got into the room, he tells her she came through the servant's door. When she refuses to go down and sit with his family, he explains it's a ritual that must be done. Alex explains that when she goes down, she'll find the whole family waiting for her to play a game together. She'll draw a card with details about the game they'll play. Garth feels very nervous about this, but Alex reassures her, telling her that every new member of the family goes through these rituals. Garth agrees, thinking that if she does this, she'll get closer to Alex's family. At that moment, Alex goes ahead and joins his father. When his father asks if he's told her anything about the family, Alex says no, but hints he's planning to take her and leave. His father then asks what he'll do if Garth picks the black card, but Alex doesn't answer and walks away. When Garth comes down, she sees Alex's sister, Emily, who welcomes her along with her husband, Fitch, and their kids. At that moment, Alex's father opens a strange door and tells everyone that it's 5 minutes to midnight. Garth is curious about the place, and Alex's dad explains it's a private area just for the family. They ask Garth to enter, and the room is incredibly creepy. Once she's inside, she looks around in confusion as the entire family gathers. Alex's father starts telling Garth about their family history, explaining that his grandfather was a toy merchant looking for an investor until he met a businessman named LeBale, who dealt in antiquities. LeBale gave him a strange box and asked him to solve the puzzle within it, promising to fund his business if he succeeded. After a lot of effort, Alex's grandfather finally solved it, and thanks to LeBale's help, the family became very wealthy. But there was one condition: every new member joining the family must draw a card from the box, which will reveal the name of a game they have to play with the family. Garth then takes the box and draws a card. She laughs when she sees the game and tells them they'll be playing hide and seek. But all the family members are shocked, and Alex's father says, "All right, let's start the game." Alex moves closer to Garth and quietly tells her to meet him in their room, while his father takes Garth aside to explain the game. He says they'll count to 100, and in that time, she needs to hide somewhere in the house. If she manages to stay hidden until dawn, she wins. He doesn't mention what will happen if she loses, and as the countdown begins, he urges her to hurry and hide. Garth goes off to hide, thinking it's all just fun, but we then see Alex's father handing weapons to the family members, telling them that whoever finds her must kill her, and he starts a record to signal the countdown. We shift to Alex, who's in his room, feeling deeply troubled and unsure of what to do. Meanwhile, Garth hides somewhere, and the family, now armed, begins searching for her. Daniel's wife stands guard at Alex's door to keep him from leaving, but he sneaks out through the servants' passage. We then see Garth leave her hiding spot after getting bored, and Alex comes up behind her, covering her mouth and taking her to a safe place. At the same time, a maid is looking for the child she was caring for, who is Emily's son, but she can't find him. She searches frantically until she reaches the area where Alex and Garth are hiding, but Emily sees her from behind and shoots her by mistake, killing her instantly. She starts apologizing, saying she thought it was Garth. Garth sits there, listening in horror, terrified by what's happening. The family gathers around the maid's body and scolds Emily for her mistake, reminding her that Garth is dressed in white. They leave, and Alex takes Garth to the servants' staircase, explaining that she drew the wrong card. He starts telling her what's really going on, saying that if she doesn't stay hidden until morning, she'll be killed. Garth is shaken and argues with him, furious that he didn't warn her before they got married, but he tells her he couldn't risk losing her because he loves her. He instructs her to go down the corridor until she reaches the kitchen door, while he'll go unlock a secret room for her to hide in. Garth walks through the corridor but finds herself facing two doors. She chooses one, exits, and stumbles upon the family as they're hiding the maid's body. Emily spots her and shoots again, but she misses. At that moment, Grace manages to escape them until she enters a room, where she's confronted by Daniel, Alex's brother. However, he refuses to shoot her, telling her that he won't kill her but will call the others to finish her off. He looks very sad as he tells her she has only 5 seconds to escape before they arrive. Grace quickly runs away just in time, and when his wife arrives and accuses him of being a failure, knowing he didn't want to kill her, he responds sadly, saying he couldn't kill her because he didn't know what would happen to her when she joined the family. However, she knew everything and agreed to play the game. His wife tells him she did it because she understood the rewards she would gain if she became a member of the family, and that she would be extremely wealthy. She then tells him she wasn't afraid of death because her life wasn't worth living anyway. At that time, Emily arrives, feeling upset that she lost her weapon and couldn't kill Grace. Her husband tries to calm her down, hands her his weapon, and teaches her how to use it. When she tries it out, she accidentally kills the maid and starts crying, feeling like a failure. At this moment, Alex's aunt is furious and tells them they must find Grace before dawn and kill her, making it clear she won't accept her as part of the family. She urges Alex's father to use the cameras to locate Grace and kill her. He listens to her and goes to check the cameras. Meanwhile, Grace reaches the kitchen and finds a weapon on the wall. She grabs it and waits for Alex to open the hidden door, but she hears footsteps and quickly hides. The person who enters the kitchen is one of the servants. Meanwhile, Alex has activated the cameras and knows that Grace is hiding in the kitchen. Grace loads the weapon with bullets and points it at the servant, demanding that he moves quickly. When he refuses, she tries to fire but realizes it's a fake weapon. The servant tries to attack her, but she hits him over the head with a teapot. At that moment, we see Alex sabotaging the cameras so no one can track Grace, but his father enters, finds him, and becomes extremely angry, hitting him. Alex gets furious and tries to kill his father for wanting to kill his wife, but his brother intervenes, calming him down and making him let go of his father. After that, his father hits him on the head, and he and his brother lock him up until they kill Grace. Grace reaches a hidden place in the kitchen and finds one of the maids hiding there, causing Grace to jump in surprise. The maid assures her she has nothing to do with the family, and isn't involved in the game. But when the maid tries to close the door, it shuts on her, killing her. Grace is horrified at the sight, and quickly runs away. When another servant finds the dead maid, he goes to inform Alex's father. At that point, Grace manages to get out of the mansion through a window, attempting to escape. She runs across the garden but sees someone searching for her with a flashlight, so she hides quickly and reaches the animal shed, using the man's distraction to keep looking for her. She thinks he won't harm her, but he suddenly pulls a gun from his pocket and shoots her, hitting her hand. She punches him in the face and tries to run, but she falls into a pit in the shed and finds many corpses inside. She attempts to get out, finding a ladder, but can't climb with only one hand. The ladder nearly breaks, and she desperately clings to anything she can find until her hand lands on a nail, injuring herself further. She starts bleeding heavily, cuts off part of her dress sleeve to wrap it around her hand, and quickly gets up to keep running. One of the family members spots her and tries to kill her, but she escapes and runs inside. She alerts the servant that Grace is trying to escape through the fence, and orders him to stop her. At that moment, Grace finally reaches the fence and manages to squeeze through the metal bars, injuring herself in the process. When she leaves the house, she sees a car coming towards her. But as soon as the driver catches sight of her, he's horrified and drives away. Then we see the servant who managed to get close to Grace with his car, but she quickly runs away when she spots him. The servant calls Alex's father, telling him that she escaped and that he'll go after her to catch her. At this point, Alex's father gets extremely angry and starts yelling at them, warning that if they don't manage to kill her before the sun rises, they'll all die. He orders them to throw the bodies of the dead servants into the pit. When they go to the barn to dispose of the bodies, Emily sees her son unconscious and realizes that Grace did it. Once he wakes up, he tells her he tried to kill Grace but couldn't. Meanwhile, the servant is closing in on Grace, and he quickly gets out of his car to kill her, but Grace fights back and manages to strangle him, taking his car to escape. However, the car suddenly breaks down, and Grace can't move it. Just then, the servant appears behind her, injects her with a sedative, and takes her with him in the car. On the way, Grace regains consciousness and overhears the servant talking to the family, telling them he captured her and is on his way. Grace starts hitting him until the car flips over, and she manages to crawl out. As she tries to escape, she finds Daniel, Alex's brother, standing in front of her. She tells him she knows he won't kill her and asks for his help. But he refuses, saying he can't let his family die because of her. He explains that if she survives until sunrise, the whole family will die. Grace tries to convince him that it's all a myth, but he doesn't care, hitting her on the head and taking her back to the house. At this point, we see Alex tied up in his room. When his mother enters, he asks her about Grace, and she tells him she's getting ready for the ceremony. He tells her that if Grace dies, he'll kill her, but she just smiles and leaves. The whole family is preparing for the ceremony, and we see Alex's father tying Grace to the table, holding up a cup, and reading a spell over it, preparing to offer Grace as a sacrifice to the demons. After he finishes, the family raises their cups and drinks, while Alex's father grabs a knife to kill Grace. But before he can strike, blood begins pouring from his mouth, and the same happens to the rest of the family. Nobody understands what's happening until Daniel frees Grace and helps her escape, revealing that he drugged their cups. Just then, Daniel's wife appears, intent on killing him, and she shoots him. Grace lunges at her, seizing the gun and hitting her until she's knocked out. When she checks on Daniel, he urges her to escape quickly. As Grace tries to run, she's confronted by Alex's father, who tries to stop her. She hits him on the head with a flashlight and makes a run for it. Alex finally frees himself, and when he steps out, he finds his brother lying dead on the ground. Meanwhile, Alex's mother tries to kill Grace, but Grace fights back, hitting her with the game box until she kills her. When Alex arrives and finds his mother dead, he apologizes to Grace, grabs her, and calls for the rest of the family. When they arrive, they see Alex's mother lying on the floor, so they take Grace and tie her back to the table. Alex takes the knife to kill her, and we learn they're offering her as a sacrifice to the demon, who supposedly made a pact with their grandfather. As Alex attempts to stab Grace, she moves, causing the knife to hit her shoulder instead. But just before he tries again, the sun rises. When Alex's aunt looks out the window, she starts trembling, fearing they'll all die. A few moments pass, and nothing happens, so one of them says he always thought it was just superstition and that they weren't actually cursed, that everything they did was in vain. But Alex's aunt yells, "You don't understand anything!" and grabs a weapon to kill Grace. But then her body suddenly explodes, and her blood covers the entire place. The game's record starts playing, and the countdown begins. With each passing second, one of the family members explodes. We see Alex's sister and father explode, and soon, Alex is the only one left. He approaches Grace, saying the demon won't kill him since he's her husband, and he seems relieved. But in that moment, Grace removes her wedding ring and throws it in Alex's face, causing him to explode as well. The whole house catches fire, a demon appears, and the entire place is engulfed in flames. Grace escapes, sitting on the front steps, as the only survivor of that cursed house. And that's where today's movie ends. If you enjoyed today's film, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.